Hello my lovely garden friends. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. Thank you for continuing to watch if you are a subscriber of mine, because I haven't posted in literally months. I'm okay with it though. I know that it's not necessarily something you should do with YouTube, but we have had a lot going on. I will go ahead and put the timestamp of when the tour starts. So if you are not interested in why I have been absent from YouTube, feel free to go to this timestamp. Just that way you guys can skip over my rambling. But for those of you who are interested in where I've been, no one has died, nothing terrible has happened. It's just been a combination of things. I don't know, like, do you guys ever have where you have years, months, where things just tend to kind of spiral out of control? That has been this past year for us. We've had a lot of things happen. My husband's family has had a lot of health issues. My family has had some other things go on that obviously I'm just not going to share, but just has been incredibly stressful. This summer has been extremely stressful for us, obviously on top of, you know, just normal pandemic stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much why I haven't filmed. My mental health hasn't been great. I am in therapy, so that's good, but you know, it's just one of those things that I realized I couldn't do it, you know, that I couldn't keep up with videoing and trying to edit when my mental health was really bad, and my garden has suffered because of it. You guys are gonna see a real life garden today. It doesn't look great. It's not something that I'm incredibly proud of right now, but I wanted to show it to you guys anyway. It's just one of those things that this is real life. This is what happens when I have other things going on in my life and the garden is just not that important. I have still done things here and there, but you know, it's just gonna be what it is. So I hope that you guys still enjoy it and that you maybe can relate to this video a little bit. I know that whenever I see YouTubers, like, I don't know, sometimes you always just feel like, oh my gosh, like it just seems so unattainable. Well, this is real life, and this is definitely an attainable garden if you don't do anything to it. I pretty much haven't done anything to it the entire summer. I have gotten out there and weeded and mulched. Anyway, so yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the garden tour. I hope you guys enjoy. If you see anything in this garden tour that is still alive, that means that it is a very resilient plant. So if you are looking for plants that you can plant and completely neglect over the first year of life, these are those plants for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys my ride or dies, the ones that survived that I tried to kill this year. So hopefully, yeah, if that's you and you want some really hardy plants, here we go. All right guys, we're gonna go ahead and head out to the front garden. Okay, first things first, I do have all over here. I have planted up my bulbs, my fall bulbs. Once again, I did not video this. It was just an impromptu thing I did yesterday. Excuse me. But I do have all of my tulips in here. I'll go ahead and put a picture of the tulip blend that I got from Holland Bulbs this year. They had a really good sale going on and much more affordable than if I bought them at my local garden center. And then in here, I just have some daffodils that I actually brought from my old house. So it's just a conglomeration of different types of daffodils. I ended up digging them up from the little like nursery place that I had put them this year. I kind of just put them off into a little corner. So I dug them up again and I put them in pots, so at least I can have them in pots for the spring. And then over here in the smaller ones, I put some alliums. So I did order some alliums and those will bloom in there. And I'm thinking about getting a couple more pots too, because my plan for these is to put them out front around our entryway. And I think 3 might just be too few. I don't know. I really like the look of like overflowing pots. If you've ever seen like some of those Instagram pictures, I really like those. So I might plant some more. We'll see. So moving on over here to the left front side garden, this is what we've got going on right now. So yeah, it looks pretty good. You guys may notice that there are no boxwoods here, so they ended up all dying. I ripped them all out. They were too established and I didn't transfer them correctly. It's just, you know, one of those things that they just didn't do super well. I think they were just too established to survive the transfer, so I ended up taking all of the shrubs that I had in pots and I just planted them in the ground. I wasn't able, once again, this is about the time right after I posted that video where things started getting crazy in my life. And so I was like, you know what? I can't keep up with watering all these pots. I'm gonna plant these things into the ground, and either, I don't know if I will leave them here. As you guys know, I rent. I don't know if I'll leave these here or if I will dig them up when I go. But you know what? We have no intention of moving anytime soon. So I just figured, go ahead and put them in the ground. They're gonna do better that way anyway. I did just recently pick up this little guy, this little dwarf Alberta spruce. I wanted to say spruce for some reason, but spruce. And I'm super excited about him. I have wanted a Christmas tree forever. He was only $10. Obviously he's tiny, that's why he was only $10. But I'm broke and I can't afford to get anything bigger. So I picked him up and I'm gonna go ahead and plant him. And then hopefully over the next couple of years, he will put on some size and be a little Christmas tree for me. I am incredibly excited and proud of him. And I think that he's just gonna add a little bit of color to the garden. He does look a little blue. He's not a dwarf blue spruce. It just says Alberta. So all the pictures I looked up did look extremely green, but I'm kind of hoping he keeps, like, I don't know if you guys can see, but right now he does look blue, like a bluer color. So I'm hoping that he keeps that, because that would be a really good addition, I think. The only thing that I need in this garden on both sides is a purple shrub. So I am going to be working on that. Hopefully I can get one. I've been keeping my eye out kind of semi through the summer for a purple shrub. I did just watch North Lawn Flower Farm's garden tour for September, and in it she had mentioned that she uses, oh gosh, what type of hibiscus? It's something like, I can't remember, but I will go ahead and put the name on the screen of what she talked about. So it's essentially like a plant that looks like it has maple leaves, but you grow it from seed and it looks like a shrub. Essentially it's a purple shrub. And I was like, dude, I'm definitely doing that, because number one, cheap, and number two, it's a good idea for me, and she mentioned this too, to like put it somewhere and see if I like it, like see if I like the purple there. And if I don't like it, then I can always take it out later. Like, it's only an annual, so it's not a big deal, not as much commitment. So I think I'm gonna do that next year and grow some of that from seed. But anyway, so yeah, anyway, over here I do have some snapdragons that I grew from seed. They're pretty floppy. I'm happy with them. I mean, they're not anything to write home about. I mean, they don't look great. I haven't trimmed them. I haven't done the things that I needed to do for them to look good. But you know what? I have enjoyed just the fact that they have done their own thing and that they haven't died. I have really enjoyed that. So I have some really bad looking Dusty Miller here. I do think it's still alive. I know it's still alive. He's gotten transplanted like 2 or 3 times this summer, and it is showing. So when next year comes, I'm gonna go ahead and give him a hard trim in early spring, and hopefully he'll bust back nice and full, but he's just kind of there, so don't look at him. He's having a bad day. I do have an anemone growing here that I thought was dead. So he died pretty quickly after I put him into the ground. So I'm guessing that in the spring it got too hot for him. And then he went back in the ground. I actually had 3 of these, and the other ones didn't come back, but this one did. So I was super happy to see you, little guy. He came back despite everything. As you can see, I have some daylilies. I went ahead and split a ton of daylilies I brought with me from my old house and planted them all along the front of my gardens. And yeah, I'm excited. I'm hoping that they will give us a good show next year. They still look a little bit wonky. We'll see what survives and what doesn't. But yeah, that's what those are. I also have I have a good amount of pansies growing here in the front, just to add a little bit of color. All of this mulch I actually had myself. This is from a tree that was taken down in our backyard. So all of this was free 99. And I ended up using it. I know that you're not really supposed to use untreated mulch next to your house, but I didn't have the money to buy mulch this year. So I just went ahead and decided to do it, and I'm going to treat around the bed, like the back of the house, as much as I can for termites, especially in the winter. If you guys have any tips for untreated mulch, let me know. Over here I have my dappled willow. I've got an incredible hydrangea that I got, and I am so proud of him. He has gone from literally the teeniest, tiniest plant that was shipped to me for my birthday from my grandmother, and to this huge one in his first year. I'm just so incredibly impressed with him. So I'm excited to see blooms on him next year. A little barberry. I'm not exactly sure what type of barberry this is. I don't know if I left the, I don't think, oh, I did. This is a Bonanza Gold barberry. So he's really, really pretty. Has lime green foliage when he is growing. Like, it's actually darkened up a lot, but when he puts on new growth, it's really, really lime, almost yellow green. So I think it's a good contrast just to give a little bit more texture. Some more, oh my gosh, I can't talk. Some more snapdragons. I have some pin cushion flowers as well that I got on sale earlier this year. Whoa, it's a bee. He's just a little bumblebee, but yeah, that scared me. Oh, he's so wet. I hope you're okay, little guy. Here, let's pick another one. But yeah, I really like this guy. They have survived despite all else. All of my pincushion flowers I started from seed didn't survive, but these ones that I got in pots on clearance from my local Lowe's did. So I'm happy with that. Really, really pretty pastel purple lilac flowers. And they bloomed pretty much all year. Like at least a couple of blooms. So I think next year they're really gonna be good. I have a red twig dogwood in the back who's seen better days. I actually don't know what's going on. I think he must, he probably needs a little more water or something, but he's okay. He'll be fine. And then I also have a rose over here. Let me see if I can get this to focus. Let's see, coral drift. Yeah, coral drift rose, ground cover rose. He's really pretty. He's done really well for me. Lots of blooms. He also has not been affected nearly as much as my David Austin rose with any black mold. I actually don't even see any on him at all. Where my other one, like I said, I haven't been paying attention to my plants, has been drastically affected with black mold. I have some mums that I planted that were also in my nursery in the back. That I brought from my old house. So they look a little wonky because they ended up all growing together. So you can see this is where another one was. But from the back, it doesn't look that bad. And I just popped him up here. So hopefully he will kind of climatize there, go through the winter, and then he'll come back actually round. That would be great. I have another, I forgot to mention my azalea that I planted over there. But I have another azalea right here, which I'm excited about for the spring. This one's an autumn twist azalea. It doesn't have any blooms this autumn, which I didn't expect, but this guy over here does. And also his form is a little bit more compact. But look, how pretty. Ooh, let me get this to focus. How pretty is that? This one is an autumn star, I think. Let me see if I'm getting that right. Autumn starburst. Yeah, really, really cute. Got those on clearance as well. So I think that's pretty much everything over here. I also planted and got on clearance some boxwoods. So this one's a smaller one. This one's a winter gem boxwood. I got this guy for $5. $5. And then I also got another one in the back. This one's a bigger one. This one is a green mountain boxwood. So I've been trying to add a little bit of winter structure into the garden. I've not been intentional about that. So I'm excited that I have actually got some in the ground. I know they won't look like a lot this winter, but hopefully I will fertilize in the fall, fertilize in the spring, and things will go well. Got some cute little autumn stuff going on here that I got from Hobby Lobby. Anyways, and then I have my little fall pots. That one's from my backyard nursery little place. It's got a couple of pansies here in the front. Let me see if it'll focus a little better. I don't know why my camera is like deciding that everything's gonna be bleached out. Let's see, yeah, that's a little better. So these are my fall potted plants, and as you can see, my red mums are fluffing out. I think they look pretty cute. That's what this one looks like. He's a little bit more not as round, but oh well. Don't look at our steps. We rent, it's not us. I would fix it. Some more Dusty Miller that looks a lot better. Once again, some more boxwood, same ones on this side. I've also got another azalea, which I've forgotten. I'm glad that I'm leaving these things with their tags on them. Where is your tag? Here it is. This one is a Gerard Crimson azalea. Gerard Crimson azalea. So got another azalea over here. Got my pink chiffon hibiscus. This just had flowers on it literally like 2 days ago. So they are gone. That's so funny. You can actually see one of the flowers at the bottom. But been really pretty, has put on a good show for me this year and has done extremely well despite the neglect. I have some more pincushion flowers that over here are not doing as well. I have some evening primrose that I need to weed out. By the way, evening primrose naturalizes. It was all over here. I just recently, oh look, here's some more popping up through a break in my cardboard underneath this mulch. Yeah, it's kind of aggressive. So just FYI, if you guys plant it, it will naturalize itself. So I ended up covering it all up. This side actually has a lot more space. I need to put some more things. I don't know why I have a tendency to plant more on this side. I don't know. I just guess I forget. I'm not sure. But over here, I also have another mum. Back here, I have a unanimous. I can't pronounce this shrub, but he's really, really pretty. And actually, it looks like he turns in the fall too. Ooh. So as it gets colder, I bet you he's gonna put on a little bit of red, which I am not complaining about. But he normally has all the new growth, has this variegated lemon lime kind of look, and really, really cute. He will get pretty big actually. He looks small right now. Got him on clearance, but he will get pretty big. Here's another plant that I thought was gonna die. We have some winter's heath. I'm not exactly sure what variety it is, but, and if I put the wrong name on there, I'll let you know. But look, he's pumping out some new growth. Do you see it? I mean, like, look at him. Wouldn't you have thought he was gonna die? But he didn't. And this is really, really pretty in the winter. He pumps out, I think these are the buds. I think he's setting his buds for the winter. Super excited about this. So hopefully, this was the first year that I planted him, and I genuinely thought he was gonna die because he looked a little worse for wear. But then he kept all of his foliage. He didn't really put on any growth in like the gray parts, or the brown parts. But hopefully I can cut him back next spring and he will continue to thrive and do well. I have a, oh shoot, what is this rose called? Okay, I have forgotten what this rose is called, but it's a super common one. That's what's annoying me about it, is that it's an incredibly common rose and I can't remember what it's called. Ugh, that's so bad. I will go ahead and put the name on the screen in case you guys are interested. I'm really happy with him. So when I bought him, a viewer said, or her, I should say her because she's so pretty. A viewer said that they've had really bad luck with these type of roses, but they've done really well for me. A little teeny bit of black mold down here, but nothing crazy. Overall, the foliage looks healthy. He's put on a ton of growth. So I really couldn't be happier with it, to be completely honest. So yeah, that's at the end. I've got a little, ooh, what type of, is this a spirea? No, it's not. Okay, so this is, I was right, this is a spirea, a double play doozy spirea. He has done really well. He survived a lot of neglect. As you can see, there's a little bit of damage on some of his foliage right here, but that's because of inconsistent watering. And then when I put him into the ground, he did amazing. So if you live in a climate that does get semi-regular rain, this one will do wonderful for you. As you can see, he's starting to color up for autumn on his tips. And he will start to take on a little bit more of a red foliage in the autumn as things get colder here. So yeah, highly recommend. He's been so easy. Literally has not required anything of me. I've just got a regular hydrangea, regular blue hydrangea. It did not even have the name on the tag. I picked, like, I'm pretty sure it was tagless, and I picked him up from Lowe's on clearance. All I know, and I can't even say I really know this, but I have a suspicion that it's a blue hydrangea. So I put him into the ground this year. He's put on a lot of growth, gotten a lot bigger than when he was in his little pot. So I'm really glad that I decided to do that. He's thriving in this little area. So I'm hoping for blooms next year. I haven't cut him, haven't done anything to him. So hopefully he'll be good to me. Over here, I have my columbine. I have been really struggling with powdery mildew in my garden. I haven't sprayed at all this year. And so it looks like actually they're being affected, which I just noticed, like literally right now. The only other things that I have here is I have planted a couple teeny tiny hostas that I had nurseryed over from the spring. I just planted the little roots. I got like a packet of roots from Lowe's, and I had planted them in a pot. And so a ton of little babies popped up. So I have planted them out here to see how they do. I also got some dollar mums from Lowe's as well. These are all white. And so I just planted them in here. And that's the only thing I have going on in this side, on the side garden. So yeah, let's go ahead and head over to the borders. Ugh. Okay guys, so as I mentioned, I have not had the greatest success with my garden this year, so try not to judge too much. I literally have done almost zero except for these past couple of weeks to the garden. So that's why it looks kind of bad. I did decide, I had a big open space here. I just had like a couple of things that had survived on this edge that were annuals, and I went ahead and pulled them out and decided to plant some bush peas because my daughter loved them, and I only had 2 this spring, and she like ate the peas off of them voraciously. So I decided to plant all of these bush peas so we'd have a lot bigger of a harvest this year. I also have some lettuce growing here along the border as well. These little guys are so cute. They're these little mini sunflowers, and I don't recall the name. I'll try to, anything that I can't remember, I will try to put up on the screen. But I think they're teddy, but they don't really look like teddies, do they? But yeah, they're so cute. They've done incredibly well for me, and the squirrels haven't bothered them, which they have just demolished my other ones that I had over here, which was so sad because I was hoping they would look pretty for Halloween, but oh well. I'm glad that I fed some wildlife. I have some foxgloves back here, just a blend that I got from the local garden center. This one, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know if he's gonna make it, but I do think these 2 will make it for next year. These ones are a biennial type, so hopefully they will flower for me next year. Some verbena, gorgeous. I actually didn't plant him until extremely late in the season, and he came full growth and did amazing. So I'm definitely doing more of him next year. Literally has not required anything of me. I do have also some cone flowers that have not done great. I think a lot of stuff in this area has not done amazing because I did establish these beds with the no dig method this year, and I did not use as much compost as I probably coulda, shoulda, woulda. So yeah, they didn't do amazing, I think because they were hitting that cardboard underneath and they didn't have enough nutrients. So I'm hoping that as the cardboard decomposes over the next couple of months, things will do better. Like as you can see, here's one of the salvias and it looks real bad, but these two over here are doing pretty good. A perennial salvia, so they'll come back. Some yarrow over here. This one did okay. Only this like plant over here bloomed. The rest of them didn't. So yeah, I mean, I like the blooms. I wish that all of them had bloomed, but I can't really blame it. I didn't really do anything, so it's probably not its fault. I did also just put some irises here in the back. That's exciting. I believe these are just basic purple irises. I did seed some stuff back here, and I can't even remember what I seeded. This is also why I've been doing things off of camera anyways. This is why I've also been doing things off of camera anyways, is because like I just wanted to have the luxury to come out and not tell people what I was doing, throw seeds at the ground, not label, because a lot of times I was scraping by with 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Like I didn't have any significant amount of time to do anything. So I was coming out, and the gardening that I've been doing has been literally like 5-10 minute gardening. So that's also why I haven't been doing videos. But yeah, so I put some seeds here in the back, and it's like some hardy annuals, so we'll see if they come up. I don't see anything really right now, but I do think that I put some in here as well, like in front of these little cosmos. Cosmos are doing okay. These are like a smaller blend. I don't know why my camera is like really not working with me today. There we go. That's much better as far as the color. Okay, so cosmos are doing okay. These are like a buttercream cosmo. They're really pretty. I will I know the name of these, just not off the top of my head, but they've done okay. I can't really complain about them. I definitely will plant more. As you can see, it looks kind of sparse. I planted them apart and thinned them as the packet said. And that is something I won't do, I think, going forward, because everything in my garden throughout this year has looked very sparse and not full and abundant. And I think that I need to let go of some of the package recommendations. These are some Moulin Rouge sunflowers, but you can't tell because the squirrels have come and demolished everything. Like as you can see, they've literally just like taken chunks out of these sunflowers. But yeah, I'm not mad. Hey, take them. I hope it helps you through the winter, you guys. I'm gonna take these out here in just a second. Here is my poor David Austin, Poet's Wife Rose. Yeah, he has not been an easy rose for me. I think he would be better if I paid attention to him. So I think that's one thing that I've learned. As much as I love this rose and I love the blooms that he puts out, he needs constant attention. He's a high maintenance person and just needs a little extra tender, loving care, and I just have not given that to him. So you can see that the black mold has been pretty bad. It's gotten worse even over the past couple days, so I do need to spray him down. I did have some green dragon cress that has self-seeded itself, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. It's over here too. That is one thing, if you guys get cress, or at least the green dragon, in my experience, it self-seeded itself everywhere. When I planted it, I was finding it like over in this garden. I was finding it in my driveway. I found it literally in the backyard, like a mile away from where I planted it. And I'm not kidding, it was actually green dragon cress. That's what I was like, is this a weed? Like, does it just look really similar? No, it bloomed out. It was straight up cress. So it is extremely easy to grow. And in fact, it will pop up in places you didn't think. I've got some African daisies here. Let me see if I can get it to focus. Autofocus is not working. Got some African daisies here, really, really pretty. I will say that after the first bloom, it's pretty much been sparse like this. Pretty much just green with a couple of blooms. So maybe not something that I will do again. I like to have a lot of blooms and a lot of payoff for my space. And this has just mostly been green. So I actually think I'm gonna rip him out and plant and direct seed some hardy annuals. And you guys, this is what my zinnias look like. They have been butchered by the powdery mildew. They look awful, but they're still putting out blooms for the bees and the butterflies, so I have left them. Because, you know what? This is something that I realized. This is something that I realized about my garden journey this year, is that even though I consider this year, or I don't because of this line of thinking, but I kind of was considering this year a failure, and I realized that what I'm considering to be a failure was still incredibly helpful to the wildlife and to the bees and to the butterflies, and they didn't care. They didn't care that my zinnias had powdery mildew. You know, the squirrels didn't care that my sunflowers were looking ratchet. It still fed them. And I actually, for the first time ever here in this area, I was seeing yellow finches because they loved the zinnia seeds. And so they would come and hang out every day and get themselves a little breakfast, a little lunch. And I was so happy about that. So, you know what? Even though I considered this to be a not great gardening year, the wildlife didn't care. And I was still helping my local environment. And so that, I don't know, that made me feel good. So if you feel like your garden was a little bit of a failure this year, just remember that the fact that you had things blooming, the fact that you tried, means that the local wildlife benefited. And if anything else, you could be proud of that. Over here, I have some more salvia. This one's pink. Ooh, I think it's pink queen salvia, which I think that the other one over there is blue queen. I may be wrong about that. I also have some little teeny irises here in the back that I planted. I don't know any of the names of the irises because I didn't purchase them. They were given to me. So we'll see what those bloom like, but I think they're Dutch irises. Some more mums that I just popped in. Coreopsis that has a ton of powdery mildew. I stuck a daylily in here. We've got some beautiful salvia. It looks a little like it's just now starting to go out, but it has been a performer. What's this blue? Is it blue violet salvia? I can't remember. It's an annual salvia though. But let me tell you, I want to extend this border. And it would be so gorgeous to have a huge border of this salvia in the front of these flower borders next year, or at least a good chunk, much bigger than this. So I will definitely be doing that this year because I could not have asked better, and I think I didn't have enough. I want more next year. I also have some orange cone flowers here in the back, some orange echinacea. I can't remember what they're called, but they were actually sent to me by Great Garden Plants, and I wanted to take a picture of them for them, and they ended up doing really badly, so I didn't. But hopefully I know they'll come back fine next year. I need to come in here and weed. I have some really, really aggressive grass. I don't know what type of grass this is. So if you know, let me know, and how to deal with it, because I have weeded this 2 or 3 times to the point that there was none that you could see, but because I had used the no dig method, so I laid down all of this stuff, and when I tell you this stuff came up through the cardboard, and now I don't know what to do because I have all this compost. I don't know if I should take everything out and do the no dig method again, but I feel like, and layer it up way thicker and just cut around all of the actual perennials that I have, which are not that many in this bed, or what. But I feel like it's I need to, it's coming in from over here too, because there's a ton in on the other side of the fence. I don't know, y'all. It's craziness. So I'm not even sure what to do, or if I should not worry about it. I just don't want it to choke out all of the stuff that I have planted. Over here, I have some more daylilies, so I just popped some more into this little corner. And then I also have some irises that I actually bought from Holland Bulbs as well. They came in looking okay. This one did not. So you can see that it only had a teeny tiny bit of green, and they're looking definitely like they're dying back. But the roots looked okay, so I'm hoping that they will do well. I have been wanting irises that weren't purple for years. My mom loved irises. I'm very nostalgic about them. So I went ahead and bought a couple that are pink and all kinds of colors. I have a pink, a yellow, and then like a light pink with some blue in it. Oh, they're gonna be so pretty next year. I only got one because I'm broke, one of each, but hopefully they will I'm just gonna leave them there for a couple years, and then I'll divide them, and hopefully they'll have more of a punch once we do that. All right, really quick, let's go over to the vegetable garden and we'll see what that looks like. Okay, this is what the vegetable garden looks like. It doesn't look like much. It definitely suffered a little bit this year as well. I do have a couple things popping up here. We've got some broccoli coming up. Here it is. There's another one, because I did sow that. Whatever broccoli I sowed on this edge for some reason didn't pop up. So, and I have a ton of weeds that have popped up just in the past couple days because we've been getting a lot of water. So I need to go ahead and pull those up. It looks like I got some basil that's self-seeded. I had these beautiful, huge basil plants here in the border, and I left them for so long. The bees loved them, and I was really sad to pull them out, but I needed to make space for hopefully some fall crops. I have a lettuce that's self-seeded because I let my lettuce bolt, and I've been picking off of him to eat until my other lettuce starts getting up to snuff. I have some newly planted tomatoes. I don't know if these are even going to ripen, but I had these just sitting in a couple pots, and I decided in September to stick them in the ground and just see what happened. I have one tomato coming up, so I probably should rip them out and put something else in, because I doubt that they're gonna get, like, that's not even gonna ripen by the end of October, which is my frost date, but whatever. I do have more plants here. Only my cherry tomatoes have done well. The beefsteak tomatoes I had in here ended up getting powdery mildew really, really badly, or blight. It might have been blight, and they pretty much died, so I ripped those out. But some more basil over here, some more peppers. These peppers, they are like called Little Sweet or something like that, and they're not incredibly sweet. I was kind of sad. I don't think, like, I may not grow these again next year. I may try a different variety. If you guys have any tips for pepper varieties that are really sweet, we like sweet peppers, let me know, because I get those sweet peppers in the like bag from the store, and that was my goal. In addition, like, they had a ton of peppers like on here, but they've taken forever to ripen, which may be my fault because I do get a little bit of shade from here. So I bet you that these actually probably need to be over there, and I probably need to put like lettuce and stuff in this corner. So you live and you learn. I think I'm gonna put my tomatoes and peppers over in these beds next time. I have some kale going. That is going really well. I have some carrots coming up over here. So a little bit of carrots. Hopefully they'll do well. This is actually like only my second time growing carrots and my first time growing them in a bed. I have a couple that are still residual from when we moved over here. So we'll see how they do. But yeah. Oh yeah, over here, last little bit, I have more peas. And I know that seems excessive, but if I find something that my toddler will eat, I just wanted to have a lot more of them. So I have the bush peas here in the front, some vining peas there in the back that will hopefully trellis up, probably only a little bit, some nasturtiums that lasted, and then I also have some spinach growing. And that's all I have planted so far. All right, guys, I have to head back inside so my husband can go to work. Thank you so much for tagging along on this misty, muggy morning here in Central Virginia. It felt really good to get behind the camera. I hope you guys enjoyed. I know it wasn't much to look at, but I'm excited. I at least got some foundations and I can know how to go forward next year. I'm really hoping that I can prioritize getting my camera out and taking some videos, and yeah, we're gonna do fine. So thank you so much for tagging along. I will see you guys in my next video. Have a wonderful day. Bye, guys.